Greetings, family. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, community. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mahlatsi Mdluli, and this is Blended Circle with Mahlatsi. So anyway, I just want to say thank you to all the subscribers, people who have been subscribing, people who have been viewing our videos. We really appreciate you. We appreciate the community that we're building. We appreciate the warmth, the love that you guys are showing us. And we appreciate you for all the interactions that you are actually making in the comment section. I really, really appreciate that with all my heart. And with the support of my husband, of course, today, I really want to say also thank you for being part of the journey that we're taking on together. And just being such a good team player, just being a good leader to me, to this family. Yeah, today I want to specifically appreciate you for that.
Thank you, my wife.
Yes. And welcome to today's episode. So, guys, today we did a little bit of a switch. So we decided that he's going to be the one who's leading mostly on the topic. So I'm really the passenger today. So yeah, we're talking about preparing to blend a family. So how to prepare well to blend a family. So mostly we're going to focus on the pitfalls because we realize that a lot of people go into marriage the second time, the first time, but with children, whatever the situation could be in your case. But you'll find that we walk into a situation where there are children involved and we just don't prepare well because maybe sometimes the resources are not available. So today we want to just talk about some parts of that preparation that we are referring to. But you must note that we're not putting out all the material that you need really to be prepared, but we're just showing you the different, pointers that you should try and think about. And then if you need more, don't forget, we are life coaches, we are marriage coaches, we coach families, blended families specifically as well, but we also do like general marriage, but we really specifically deal with blended families. So if you are preparing to blend your family, contact us. Our contacts will be on the description below and some of it will be displayed right now. Email us, contact us on WhatsApp or something. Reach out to us and we'll be able to assist you with preparing to blend. Wherever you may be in the world, we do Zoom sessions, we do live sessions, we do, in-person sessions, one-on-one, group, whatever you can name it, we are there. So, getting into the topic, when we prepare for blending, when we prepare to blend, what is the first thing that comes to your mind in as far as preparing is concerned?
Well, thank you once again for inviting me. But I think what comes to mind first is the issue of what this whole thing is about. So the definition, for instance, we've found in our consultations that the man and the woman have differing definitions of marriage.
Definitely.
Or what
interesting.
The picture that they have is different. And that presents a challenge because it may not show at the beginning, but once you get into marriage, then the differences are going to be picked up in expectations that are not met. Because if you have not defined this, this marriage and the purpose thereof,
yes,
you will have differing expectations. And because I don't know what your expectation is, I may find myself unable to meet those expectations. So it presents a challenge. So I would say, firstly, that it is important to define what it is that you want to do, what you want to achieve by coming together. I think, that would be the first thing for me. I think a lot of times we've also found that the people are committed, or the man and the woman are committed to marriage, but they underestimate the intricacies that come with a blended family. So how the marriage is different from the nuclear marriage where boy meets girl, they decide to get married, there is no children, there is no complication. In as much as that marriage tends to have challenges, the set of challenges that come with marrying someone with children, and maybe you have children, is quite different from the challenges that come with a nuclear family.
Yeah, that is so true. So I really like that, because when you do your premarital counseling, it's very important for you to discuss the picture. So it's like you have to be self-aware. So which means you have to be aware of what dynamics you're already presenting. So it's like sometimes we leave it to, I feel this way, you feel that way. And you will see that there's an episode where we talk about blended families is for redemption. So we are talking about the concept of redemption being the reason why you are rebuilding something. There's something that went wrong, as we can say. There's something that went wrong. So now we want to find a way to redesign this thing and bring restoration and redeem it to the form that it's supposed to be in. So the importance of preparing to blend well. It's the same way as when people teach about any productivity, any lessons about productivity, effectiveness, success, they always say you must plan. Otherwise, what is it? Is it failure to plan?
Is planning to fail.
Is planning to fail. Yes, failure to plan is planning to fail. So it's the same thing with a blended family. So being aware of your dynamics and being aware of what they are presenting to your life now that you are planning to get married, it's very important. Some of it may be a bit scary, but the point is for it to just be brought to your attention, to light, so that you walk in more conscious of that, and you walk in with a plan, knowing that I'm not just going to get in there and start taking things personally. When this happens, it takes me by surprise. Of course, we're not saying that you might never be surprised, but the point is that when it comes, at least you are more prepared, you are more aware and self-aware as well, not just aware of the situation, but aware of yourself. And I don't know, I think you have mentioned it before, but where you'll find that a couple goes into marriage and one person is bringing children and the other is not. Situations like that, they're imbalanced, right? So there's an awareness that one has, that one party has, and that the other one doesn't have. Like, for instance, if you are the one who's bringing the children in the marriage, especially if you're a male, for instance, and you are getting together with a woman that doesn't have children, and then the children that you're going to have in the marriage are obviously going to be yours as well. So the children are all yours. So there's no child who doesn't belong to you, which means sometimes we forget that for you, this family may not really be presenting a blendedness to you. You may not feel the effects of a blended family as much as your partner will, because your partner is the one that's actually in a blended family more than you are. The same thing applies to a woman, really. You bring a child into a marriage, the man doesn't have one. You must always be aware that, oh, this one is the one who is experiencing dynamics that I may not understand, that I may not relate with. So the point is that you should be in a position where you understand that the other person may be experiencing something that you might not really, understand. You may not really resonate with. So you have to try and work on your empathy, the grace that you extend to the other person. So there are things like that that you must look at that make it important for you to prepare for blending, for you to go through proper premarital preparation so that you're aware of dynamics.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned quite a lot that presents as challenges that are not necessarily known upfront, but must be made. People must be made aware of. Another one that I think is worth mentioning is the issue around the purpose of the marriage.
Yeah.
We've grown up and have been socialized to know and believe that the successful marriage is the one that is based on love. And I have nothing against that. It is true. However, when we look at what scripture says about love, we discover that the English language is limited in explaining what love means at certain points. So, for instance, there is love that I have for you, which is eros in Greek.
Yes.
Eros is the love that comes from intimacy. That is maybe brought about by an attraction of some sort, physical attraction or mind attraction or whatever attraction that brings you together and then brings about passion, physical passion. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it is very important that you develop and maintain that. But it cannot be the basis of getting into a blended marriage alone. So I'm not saying that people in blended marriages just
should not feel the passion and the excitement.
Have passion and all of that. But where it becomes erroneous is where that is the driving factor. Because even in normal marriages, it runs its course. Eros will run its course. But the Bible teaches us about other forms of love. I know in the English language, it just keeps saying love, love. But there is the concept of brotherly love, which is philia or phileo in Greek.
Guys.
That love is not is the love that you feel and you develop from mutual understanding and shared values. The one that will keep you friends with someone, even if you may not see eye to eye at times, but you will remain committed to that person. Why? Because you share certain values, you have common likes, dislikes, or whatever that is. That Bible talks about that in First John, I think it's chapter 4, where it says, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God. And he who does not love does not know God, because love is from God."
Yes.
There you see that love is based on a commitment to God. It's not necessarily because you like that person, or that kind of love you need in marriage. Because when the eros love runs out, you have something that is holding, keeping you together. But even that philia, that brotherly love, is not enough. There is the agape love, which is God's kind of love. It's still love. The one in 1 Corinthians 13.
Yes.
The one that is not selfish, it does not hold any wrong, that one. You need to have that one to build and establish your marriage, because that one, the Bible says, it covers a multitude of sin. So that's the one you use to be able to live essentially together. We are not made aware of that up front.
Yes.
And it is needed in blending families, because the dynamic is such that the attacks to the marriage come from many areas.
Yes.
It may not be just that you woke up at the wrong side of the bed.
The gaps are many.
Yes.
The loopholes are many.
The attacks may come from your own children. The attacks may come from your parents or your own siblings, who may want to come in and protect your children against yourself.
Yes.
Or against your partner. And in their heart, they're doing well, because they believe they are doing what is best for the child. And yet, it can present itself as a reason for contention between the two of you.
Yes. So
it's important to crystallize your purpose, what you want to achieve with this marriage, particularly around what you've mentioned, that marriage is about redemption. So you are righting a wrong. You need to be careful that, because I'm righting a wrong, I cannot now lend myself towards the perpetuation of that wrong.
Yes.
Whenever it rears its ugly head, you know that I'm here so that this doesn't happen again.
Yes.
It then helps you in managing things like emotion and that kind of.
It basically
sort of
keeps you focused on the goal, on the end goal.
Correct.
Yeah.
You continuously are aligned to the purpose for which you've established and agreed upon.
Yeah.
I think another thing is, agreement needs to be important.
Yes.
So it needs to be there in all things.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the concept that, no, we are in agreement. No, actually in practice. So my ex wants to do this with the children, or my ex wants the children to come all of a sudden to me. I may want that because they are my children. I want to spend time with them. But I must check with my wife. Is it in the plan? Is it in line with what we have decided?
Sure.
Even if it is not, then she has a duty to extend mercy.
Yes.
Extend grace.
Yes.
But I cannot have an expectation.
Yes.
That no, because it's my children and I'm entitled to be with them. Therefore, you must extend grace. So these are the things that may seem small from the outside, but once you are inside, they are huge.
Yeah.
And they present issues of contention
to
what you are trying to build.
Sure. That is so powerful. I feel like this thing actually reminds me of something that's very interesting. I thought I was going to only talk about this in another episode, but I'm just going to go ahead and actually bring it out now. Some experience I had growing up in a blended family. I just know that, sometimes your solid foundation as a couple can pose as a threat to your children. And I think we'll talk about it in another episode where we can deal with the communication issue between the couple and the children in the picture, because I feel like sometimes we mean well even as a couple, but you'll find that our very well intended actions are communicating something else to our children. And that can be so complicated and make people live in a place where they are almost just driven by guilt in doing life, because you can almost see, like, children can't really hide the effects of whatever it is that they're going through or whatever it is that's happening around them. So as a parent, as a biological parent, sometimes you're able to sense it because you know your children better than the other person. And so you find yourself operating on a guilt mode all the time. And that makes you, like, it puts you in a position where you're almost made to choose between your marriage, your children all the time. And the things that we're teaching here, they are here to make sure that we are prevented to some extent from circumstances that make us always have to choose. Like, you feel like, oh, I have to choose between my spouse and my children. I have to choose between my... It shouldn't be like that, because then your life will be hard. It will not be worth it. I can tell you now. You don't have to even try and attempt to get married if that's the position you're finding yourself all the time. Get light. Find that information that will release you and set you free. So I'm just reminded of a situation where, when my dad moved on with his life, that because there wasn't like an open communication that says, okay, now I'm doing this, now I'm doing that, everything was just happening, and it was like life was just happening to us. It's like we were finding out as an after effect. Like, we always found out after. We were always the ones who just find out from the fact that, oh, now I have to come home. And I'm finding out as I'm planning to get home that, oh, you were supposed to ask first because I have to check with my wife, and it's like things like that can really mess up the relationship that you're trying to build between your current spouse and your biological children. So it's very important for us to establish also a communication between us, like to learn how to establish a communication line between us as a couple and our children, how we communicate boundaries, how we communicate how certain things are supposed to be done. It's very important for us to determine that, to plan how that is going to be conducted, so that things are not done haphazardly. Like, people are just finding out as they go that, oh, I was not supposed to do that. Oh, I was supposed to call first. Things like that can really throw people off balance forever, and you can lose that opportunity to build a healthy relationship with your children and then with your spouse as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've said a lot. I think you've also touched on my final point, which was the need to put marriage first.
Yes.
Now that you are married, marriage comes first. I know there's a lot of qualifying that you need to do with that statement, but as a principle, you put marriage first. A lot of us, because of a shaky foundation, when we get into a blended situation, we revert back to what we know, what we are comfortable with. When there is pressure, what that looks like is choosing your children over your marriage, because things are uncomfortable. And what about my children? When you do that, you are choosing but you are just not choosing your marriage. Children, you will always have. You don't lose children. And that's just an example. But a marriage you can lose. So you decide upfront that if I'm going to myself into a marriage, I need to fight for it. And by fighting for it, you put it first. And when you put marriage first, your relationship, every other relationship feeds off of that. And it finds its rightful place in your life because you have centered your marriage. You've put your marriage in the center. Anything outside of that, your marriage will be skewed.
Yeah.
It will take the shape of something that is abnormal. And anything that is abnormal is not natural. They say any two-headed animal is a monster.
Yes, is a monster.
So if you are not going to say, this is my center, my marriage, and you have other considerations, work, for instance. Some people, we may take it lightly because we need to survive, therefore we need to work.
It's important,
It's important. But you cannot now want to build any marriage for that matter and then decide to take a job in Cape Town while you are in Johannesburg, while your family is in Johannesburg. It may look, financially it may look great, but what you are doing is that you are choosing work.
Sure.
And not choosing your marriage. And it will show. Eventually, it may not show now because I think studies have shown that there are many rich people with all the finance that they need that are unhappy. So it cannot be that
really,
you are working so that they may be happy. No. You've just got it the wrong way. You need to make them happy.
It's a very twisted,
Yes, and then the work will find itself, will find expression in your its place in your marriage. So I think I thought that those were important issues that you need to be mindful of as you prepare to blend.
Sure. That is so powerful. There's so many things. Actually, when you talked about work being one of them, I just thought about a lot of other things, like even ministry, you know, even serving in church, even like it really, the list is endless in as far as putting things that are competing with your marriage. So it's like, whatever happens, make sure that your marriage is in first place. Anything at all. It can be anything. It doesn't have to just be kids. And I know that when it comes to a blended family, this can be such a sensitive issue, because then how do I go and pick a stranger and then just decide that this person is going to now take first place in my life? And that's a topic for another day. I'm not going to get into that. However, I know that as your brain is frying right now, you're just thinking, that can be a little hard. We know. We really know. But it's something that you need to consider prayerfully. That's why you prayerfully consider even the issue of a partner, the issue of just getting married. We prayerfully consider that for a reason, because it's not something you can just walk into. It's a lifelong journey. So there's a depth to how to walk into that institution of marriage. I think this particular episode is really, it's interesting for me. It's very interesting for me. Everything that you have shared, I feel like it's so powerful, and it makes a lot of sense, man. It brings so much perspective. And in closing, I'm going to ask you to maybe just give closing remarks on the topic. And
Yeah, I think why this episode came about is the discussion that we had around the issues that people face in blended marriages, being so similar. So it's across the
Yes,
board.
it's so common. Yeah.
And when you look at the issues,
So
most
many.
of them are connected to a lack of knowledge. So
Yes.
we're
Yes.
not capacitated or equipped sufficiently going into marriage.
Sure.
And then once you're in marriage, you behave in a way that shows how little knowledge you have
Yeah.
or about the subject. And then you want counseling, or you want out even. A lot of people
Wonder
that we
more
speak
than
to are at the point where they can't stand
it's
this.
over. Yeah.
And when you try and delve deeper into the issue, you discover that it's out of missed opportunities, unmet expectations. And so we'd like to at least start the discussion as to some of the things that bring about these issues, so that at least one or two people can be helped that are thinking of getting into a blended situation or are in a blended marriage but are looking for answers. You are not alone, and help is out there. Yeah.
Definitely,
Thanks.
help is available. My exit is really just saying one more thing about where you talked about the goal and the purpose of the marriage, and basically understanding why you're there and what is it all about for you. I think that thing really reminds me of a situation where I realized for the first time that, you can all walk into a room, one room, for one reason, or the other. We could be in a conference, attending a conference, anything like that, where there's a lot of people involved. And I realized one day, dawned on me, that everyone that's there is not there for the same purpose. It's not there for the same reason. So though we were coming to the same conference, we're not coming there for the same reasons. And that really opened my eyes when it comes to a blended family. My husband mentioned things like there are situations where you even have your own siblings, or you have your mom and dad, you have whoever that is so close to you that means well in what they're doing, but you find that
And
very
it's
same thing
invested.
communicates something else to you, or communicates something else to your marriage. And I feel like it's very important for us to go out of this episode with this. One of the things that you should go out with is the fact that everyone relates in a blended family with different intentions and purposes. So you need to be focused and define yours, define your purpose well, define your role, and be grounded in it, because anything can destabilize you. Anything that anyone says by any chance in passing, be it in anything, and even lovingly so, can still move you out of your place, because you are not grounded in who you are and what you're supposed to be representing in this blended family. A comment is enough to bury you alive in a blended family, believe it or not. It can be a small thing, the smallest comment that you can think about. You are bringing children, you are bringing your kids in a blended family, and you are now submitting yourself under a husband, and you are called by his last name, and your children belong to another last name. And one relative just has to make one comment concerning my children, concerning one child. It's enough to just bury me. So if I didn't know the hearts of the people I deal with, or didn't even know my purpose of being even in this blended family. I would have lost it a long time ago. So my point is that please know your role, know your purpose, understand that everyone is in the same space but looking for different things. So focus on that, on the one that you believe you are there for, and understand and accommodate everyone with what they are coming with, because there's enough room for everyone. At a conference, there's enough room for everyone. So we don't have to get rid of the people in order for our purpose to be clear. No, but we have to understand where everyone is at any given time and make room for everyone, because everyone is necessary for yourself as a couple and for the children that you are bringing into the marriage. Trust me, everyone is necessary, everyone is important. Just find a way to locate yourself. Once you've located yourself, locate everyone else. Yeah, I think that will be all from us today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for taking time to listen. And I pray that this can also be another aha moment for somebody, for it to just bring perspective to a lot of things for you. And I pray that as couples preparing to blend, you open your hearts and allow yourself to be naked to each other, so that you can start practicing the power of just walking in nakedness to one another, because that's what's going to empower the journey that you're going on. I promise you. Anyway, thank you for being with us. Subscribe, like, comment, share, hit the notification bell, please. And yeah, be a part of our community. Continue to walk with us. We're doing this thing and we are believing God in it. We are walking by faith and we're hoping that you will walk with us. So thank you so much once again from myself.
Thank you.
And my husband. We love you and God bless you. This is Blended Circle with Mahlatsi. We're redeeming communities one family at a time. Yeah, so be part of it. Thank you.